What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. Hey, Jim, how we doing?
Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, listen, and thank you for the last half hour. I have been just rollicking in the response to your rather provocative question. In fact, it reminds me a little bit of a political cartoon, my favorite political cartoon, which I mentioned once, but it you know what? It merits repetition. It shows the queen with her young son walking through a garden, and she looks at him and says, "And remember, sweetheart, once you've said off with his head, you can't say on with his head." Okay? So here's the thing. Let's bring it to 2026. Yeah. Once you say elbows up, you don't turn around and say elbows down. I know you're talking about Angus Reid. 7% said, you know what, they have no intention. Nanos last month, I had a poll which I thought was infinitely more informative, specifically about booze. It doesn't matter what Mark Carney or Christine Trechette or Aaron Rand or James Mennie, to be fair, says about any of this. They are not buying American booze. I would respectfully submit that, and by the way, this is a national phenomenon, okay? This is not coast to coast. I got to tell you, the spikes are in Ontario and Quebec. Quebec, 74% say they'll never touch American booze. Ontario, 75%. But the bottom line here, and that's what I think we would do well to remember, is that people in Canada who are not buying American booze, even if they put it back on the shelf, are not doing so because of some, arcane political reason, some deep strategic kind of 12th dimensional chess with the Americans. They're doing it because they're pissed off. They're doing it because Donald Trump is the absolute personification of everything Canadians detest about Americans. And he happens to be president of the United States. And he's not going to stop. So the fact is, tomorrow, you want to bring the booze on? That's fine. But I guarantee you, when it becomes clear that we're not buying it, that we're not purchasing it, as a lot of listeners have pointed out, Aaron, Trump will find some other delusional reason to slap tariffs on. The guy is in huge trouble. He's getting his butt kicked by the Iranians, and it doesn't look like it's going to end well there. Meanwhile, his own numbers are in the toilet. So you know what? I don't blame our listeners and Canadians in general for turning around saying, no, I don't think so. It's not about logic. But then again, Donald Trump isn't about logic. Right. And I will bet you folding money, my friend, that if the hapless Democrats actually take over Congress, get the House and the Senate, and they impeach this clown, okay, Canadians will be taking baths in Jim Beam, okay? They will be sprinkling their lawns with, a Californian Chardonnay. But until that happens, this is about Trump, this is about us, and things are not going to change.
Well, okay, and you make a very fair point, and obviously one that most listeners agree with, Jim, as you said, that it seems to be overwhelming. No, we shouldn't make any concessions at all. But let me ask you a question. Let's say, because we're finding out now from the Canadian Trade Delegation that they are considering making some concessions in exchange for concessions made by the U.S. So let me just give you an example and tell me what you think. Let's say we can offer to put back, pick U.S. alcohol back on shelves as one of them, as one. And then the U.S. says, well, we're taxing your aluminum at 50%. We're going to reduce that to 20%. Would that be considered a win, Jim?
No, because we know now, every Canadian knows, and I hate to say it this way, Americans' word cannot be trusted. Okay? They can say one thing on Tuesday, they'll say something entirely different on Wednesday and say, well, no, because you know what? We've decided. We are exceptional and this is how it's going to be. And the world is in fact schooling the U.S. on how unexceptional they are. But the fact is, I do not blame Canadians at all for not trusting Americans as far as they can spit a rat.
Okay. My only contention, and I agree with the basic sort of theme here of what you're saying, but I think at some point, as angry as we are, as adamant as we are, if you can sit at a table, even with someone who's irrational, and try to get any kind of concession, you try to get that concession and you hope for the best. But maybe that's just, maybe that's just me.
If there was a chance that you could say, and I used to believe that too, that, it's not just Trump, the adults in the room will yank his leash. No. There are no adults in the room, Aaron.
Fair enough.
They're all on all fours licking this guy's boots, and it's not going to change until he is gone. It's as simple as that. And even then, we'll have to wait and see what his vice president will end up doing, presuming he gets impeached. But I got to tell you, we are in it's not terra incognita. I think this is terra that is very cognita. I think we are in a territory now where we're turning around and saying, listen, we can't pretend anymore. We can't pretend that this is a normal situation, that this lunatic who's in the White House right now can be trusted or can be relied upon to create any kind of policy that will endure past 24 hours.
Fair enough. I also think, though, at the same time, Jim, you know what? He'll move on from this. He'll get whatever he does get, call it a huge win. You know how he frames things for the U.S. Doesn't matter. And then the next day, this will be forgotten until another 3 months or 6 months from now, because he has so many other things he's trying to get done, or, he loses focus so quickly. I still think it's an opportunity for us, and so does the trade delegation, to get something. I think the idea of just, elbows up, at some point, we just put them by our sides. We don't have to put them down. Just leave them by our sides for a second. Would that be okay?
I would have to respectfully disagree.
Very well, then. We shall see what comes from this. I actually think what's going to happen, the deadline is August 19th, right? For this new set of tariffs. I think what happens is he'll do what he's done before, which is simply say, you know what, I'm going to extend it for another 30 days because we're making headway, whether it's true or not.
The amazing thing is between now and then, he'll have won the war in Iran 7 times. Of
course.
So it's like, it's like, this is where we are, buddy. It's like, it's not like we're talking about anything even vaguely normal. Honestly, I'm not joking here. It's like, we used to have parameters and say, okay, A is going to happen because B and C are in place. There's no alphabet with this guy.
Yeah. By the way, to your point, and I don't know if people have seen this, I don't even know that this is true. I read a piece this morning, Jim, suggesting when you talk about Iran, kind of not winning the war, but, basically having the upper hand, if you will, now because of the Strait of Hormuz, that they are waiting in Iran to see what the U.S. midterms actually do before they decide what they're going to do next. Which is kind of crazy.
And what's funny is the fallout as well, I don't know if it's even been mentioned on the news, is the creation of this Middle Eastern NATO, this defense pact between the Saudis, the Turks, and I think the Pakistanis, and I think it's going to extend. It's like all of a sudden, everyone's realizing this guy is nuts, he can't be trusted. It's so peut, and we're seeing it more and more. But things in the Middle East right now are absolutely crazy.
Jim, let's focus on what's going on here. I've been away for a little while, obviously trying to keep up. So I know the last poll shows the PQ still ahead of the Liberals, although it's not that bad. But the CAQ do seem to be losing a bit of support.
They're losing support, but buddy, just before I came on, 20 minutes before I came on, because they're doing a tease. The big Léger poll that we all like to discuss is coming out tomorrow. Okay. But Monsieur Léger gave a nice little tease for tomorrow's poll. And this, I think, it sort of proves what you and I have been discussing for the past few weeks. 49% of all respondents in this poll could say, I could change my mind tomorrow. I have no idea who I'm going to vote for. Nearly half the electorate in Quebec doesn't have a clue about how they're going to vote for it. And when they break it down by party, you look at the Parti Québécois, 52% of respondents who say they support the Parti Québécois say their vote is definitive for that party, but 46 say, we can go someplace else. For the Liberals, it's 55 definite, 40% they could go shopping around. It's going to be very, very interesting days, proving once again, as I've been saying for weeks, there is no summer low. This is for real stuff. This is, metaphorically speaking, we're using live ammunition here. And you can tell as well that the PECs right now, they're, for the time being, ignoring the Liberals. They're going right after the CAQ because they know they need those Francophone voters, and those Francophone voters will be abandoning the CAQ in droves. The whole, I'm sorry, I can't think of another word, Aaron, the whole grift of the CAQ, which has been enforced for 8 years, which is we're pretending to be a government even though we don't have a clue about how to do anything, okay? Those votes are up for grabs, and I really get the impression that the PQ have said, let's get that. If we get enough in the bag with Francophone voters, the whole separation, the whole referendum thing is not going to be that big a deal. But man, oh man, here we are. It's the 10th of August, my friend, and it's going to be a very, very, very interesting 6 weeks.
Jim, I'm going to let you go, but I want to ask Robert Libman's column over the weekend in the Gazette talking about the Liberals now finally getting some star candidates, some pretty high-profile names. Charles Maillard had been criticized. We've talked about that before as well.
Yep.
Up until now for not having done very much. Step in the right direction?
Absolutely, and I mentioned earlier this month, while some of us were on vacation, that indeed you'll see people like Michel Leblanc and Mr. Hughes there from
James Hughes.
Yeah, James Hughes. I think you're going to see more and more of those guys being more public, being the face of the Liberals, being the voice of the Liberals on very, very germane topics. I really hope that the ever so clever organizers of the Quebec Liberal Party realize now is the time. Don't wait. Now is the time to start talking about health, about education, about the economy, about quality of life, okay? Let the PACs and the CAQ talk about identity. Go for what people are thinking about right now, and you may actually have a chance to pull this thing off.
Jim Mennie over at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, thank you so much. Good to be back. Appreciate it.
Adama.
Take care. Let's go to traffic.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you!
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all. Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
Something on your mind? Let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
On radio.
Tap the talkback mic on the free iHeartRadio app anytime.
And contribute to our on-air conversation.
Montreal Now is brought to you by Dormez-vous. Get serious about sleep at Dormez-vous with up to 20% off mattresses, pillows, sheets, and more. Limited time only. Restrictions apply.
Metropolitan Rustproofing is currently offering $20 off a complete rustproofing treatment during its summer special. Offer ends soon. Metropolitan Rustproofing, a smart investment that really pays.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
End your day with insight, analysis, and breaking news.
Montreal Now with Aaron Rand on CJAD 800.
Welcome back. 5:37 on this Monday. I'm just starting to get text messages as well. Rain coming down in some areas around town. So again, that message from Environment Canada on that severe thunderstorm looks like it is heading our way. Also see an alert here too. This came out from Environment Canada. Tornado warning for eastern Ontario. Tornado warning. Now apparently around the following areas: Ottawa North, Canada as well. And trying to just see if I'm reading some of these text messages. Well, Rigaud's got the rain already moved in there. So again, this is now here. They said it'd be late afternoon. Bang on target. Still don't have this downtown, at least where we are in the East End, but it is starting to move this way. So please keep that in mind if you are heading out. Came across a story and I thought this is something worth discussing. So it turns out for all the talk about AI and all the things we have to be careful for and have to, watch out and avoid, there's some very interesting work being done right now as far as viruses are concerned and AI. Dr. Greg German is a physician microbiologist and a clinician investigator focusing on urinary tract infections. He's at the Unity Health in Toronto and is on the line. Dr. German, thanks for the time this afternoon. So let me just start so I make sure that I understand this so we can explain it to our listeners. AI actually was used by scientists to create viruses that don't yet exist. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Aaron, for the opportunity to be on the show and to share more about phages, which is we call bacterial viruses that only target bacteria, not humans. And absolutely, they took 6,500 pieces of information and they were able to string it together utilizing computer knowledge, AI knowledge, and then create something that hadn't otherwise been created.
And to the point or to the purpose of what? What's this supposed to actually do?
So unfortunately, so many of us suffer from urinary tract infections, and those are becoming increasingly antibiotic resistant. So instead of using an antibiotic, a bacterial virus is or can be used, and we're doing a clinical trial to investigate that further in multiple sites across the world. But suffice to say, these viruses can actually target the bacteria, and just like an antibiotic, but being more specific, can destroy or disable it. And so that's the idea about how we can use these phages or these bacterial viruses to target E. coli, which is the number one cause of urinary tract infections.
So by AI creating this virus, this would only go after specifically this particular E. coli bacteria?
Well, that's an excellent point. They were trying to utilize the most common and simple concept and then try to utilizing multiple passes of computer knowledge and reading 2 million strips of information. They were able to make about 87% high quality phages. And those phages then went into 300 candidate phages. They say essentially on computer, and then they actually printed just like you'd have a 3D printer. They use a genomic printer to make about 18 different ones. And now what would otherwise have been resistant or not working from that lock and key perspective we want for phages, they were able to open the door to the phage, the door to the bacteria to allow the phage to make more of those phages and conquer that infection.
Wow.
Or what that bacterial that could cause infection.
How close are we to having this? I mean, AI seems to be moving literally at the speed of light these days, so much, so fast. How close are we having this to be basically a finished sort of, if you will, I'm trying to find the right word to use here, but basically a solution to this particular issue where we can say, hey, by virtue of this, we can cure this. Are we near that?
Yeah, I would say we're probably around the 2030 time frame. There is some reports and articles that come out about, can we have a machine where you just put the urine in one end or the swab, and then boop, 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 out comes a solution of phages that's targeted. The bacteria, remember, takes $2 billion in 10 years to make an antibiotic, and can we do that in 8 hours?
That's insane. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And obviously you're talking about one specific area, but we can, I imagine, if we think about this, we can apply this in lots of different areas, right?
Absolutely. Any sort of infection, the joint infections that we see with a lot of metal or hardware, which are becoming increasingly common and challenging, that's another potential area where there's a lot of interest in developing clinical trials to show that those are beneficial. And those are also patients who come to our clinic at Uni Health Toronto, University of Toronto.
Let me ask the other thing, because obviously when you see a headline like AI and viruses, the inclination, at least the first one, might be to think, oh, wait a sec, they're developing a virus here, and this is going to get out of a lab, and here we go all over again. I mean, is that a concern? I mean, do we have to worry about this?
It's an excellent question. I think we always have to worry about AI in general, but it's in the specifics of it. So even if we were to take that information and take a swab of someone that has human genomic information, how is it processed? How is it safe? Viruses themselves, there's usually good viruses that we use for phages, but phages have also been, from an evolutionary standpoint, done for not good things. So like antibiotic resistance can travel through phages, toxins can travel. We do a lot of things to prove that wrong. The last point I would say is the immunology of phages. Human exposed phages, they seem to have gone around the block, and they've been able to survive without causing any or too much mischief. But perhaps these AI-designed phages, because they don't have what we call glycosylation or other sort of, very specific terms, haven't been shown to be completely safe yet. All that being said, we still need to do our checks and balances.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said, it's moving so quickly. I imagine it must be very exciting working in the medical field these days, and it's perhaps not getting as much attention as it should. I mean, AI has become pretty much a standard now, has it not, when you're trying to come up with ideas like this?
I think it's still used as a crutch, not necessarily as a primary sort of tool, but grants can now be written through AI. There's a lot of... One of our challenges, though, is that AI kind of fails gloriously and hallucinates about 10% of the time. And so we still need people to make sure that we're going in the right direction.
All right. We'll leave it at that. I thank you so much for the time, Doctor. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Take care.
So there you go. Look, it's good news, obviously, right? If you're affected by any of these, if, he mentioned UTIs, if there's a cure down the road, 2030, when I said sort of a definitive timeline, that's not far away, right? We're 3 years away from that, and be able to simply say, okay, by virtue of this, we can make sure that, you're not going to get this infection or treat this infection easily. That's pretty significant, I would think. And as I said, in other areas as well, imagine we're going to start hearing more and more of these stories, which is interesting because then I have another story, which we're going to do later in the week, talking about how so many of us now are forget about Google in the old days, now just going to AI, going to like a ChatGPT or whatever, Perplexity, and trying to diagnose, right? Simply saying, here's what I have. What do you think? What should I do? Which seems like it would be good news, but then I'm starting to read the doctors are now saying we're doing too much of this, which is what tends to happen, right? You start off, you ask a couple of questions. The next thing you know, you're treating it like it's your doctor, and this is perhaps not the best way to go. It almost, I say this to myself when I use it. It's important to let you know if you're using AI, if you're just starting to use AI is not necessarily definitive. There are plenty of mistakes. I use it, to try to find, reference or whatever, right? And it'll come up. And I just had one come up the other day, and I'm trying to remember what it was. And I had to actually go back and say, oh, I know what it was. I was looking for something, a particular clothing line. And I asked, where can you buy this in Canada? And, the AI said, listed 2 stores. First of all, it said Amazon. And then it said, or you can go to the Bay. To which I had to write back, no, the Bay is no longer in operation. To which it then said, thanks, you're absolutely right. Thanks for letting me know. So you have to take that into account as well. It is not 100% accurate. It's a good tool, but just keep that in mind. 5:45.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
You're listening to Montreal Now on CJAD 800.
All right, so we're going to wrap things up here in just a couple of seconds. Again, I did want to point out this weather situation. Got another alert here from Environment Canada. If you're heading towards Ottawa, driving in that area, you maybe just don't want to do that now, or pull over or take a rest, because they're getting the very bad weather there right now. That is a possibility, rather, for where the tornado may touch, if there is in fact a tornado. But yeah, Environment Canada now, again, we here in Montreal are in a severe thunderstorm watch. There's rain falling across the western part of the island. It looks like it's getting kind of dark here downtown as well, so I imagine that's on the way here. So that's in the forecast for today. Tomorrow and Wednesday, by the way, look really nice. Of course, they said that about today as well. Tomorrow, sunny, mainly sunny, high of 27, and Wednesday, mainly sunny, and a high of 26. There's not seeing any rain in the forecast for either tomorrow or Wednesday, rather, so just to keep that up for today. And again, I just want to thank, I've been on vacation for the past 3 weeks. I talked about this off the top of the show. We were lucky enough to go to Norway on a cruise, and it was absolutely incredible. I think I said to Alice when we talked this morning, it was like traveling back in time. If you can imagine a landscape where all you see is mountains and glaciers, and imagine that's, I don't know, that's where dinosaurs were hanging out, I don't know, 1 million years ago. And you can still see glaciers there now. If you go up the Norwegian coast, you go to a town called Svalbard, which is the northernmost inhabited town in the world. Not a military base, an actual place where people live. And the sun there in the summer, 24 hours of sunshine a day. You're out at 11, 12 o'clock at night, sun's up. It's crazy in the best possible way. And that doesn't even include the walruses we saw. 20 of them packed on a beach, like right up against each other, because that's what they do. It was pretty cool. All right, we had a winner, by the way. I failed to mention this before, so let me mention it now. For the Lion King, which is coming to Montreal, the Broadway production will be here, right, in October.
August 30th.
That's what I meant.
Late
they
August.
Moved it up. It was going to be October. Now it's in August, which is now. August what?
It's late August. It starts in about 2 weeks.
Okay. We're giving these away all week long. Today I played a little clip. This was the clip, by the way, that I played.
Sun rolling high, the sapphire sky.
Yeah, I said, what song is that? It's from the Lion King soundtrack. You know, right, Alice?
Yeah.
Of course, it's...
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Circle of Life. Circle of Life was the correct answer. Rocco knew. He lives in Laval, so Rocco, congratulations. He's got the tickets for today, and as I said, we have these all week long. Now, I forgot because now we play our classic. Did you do this when I was away?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I kept the tradition going.
Oh, that's
Classic
nice.
Hit. Everyone loved it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So we do this because, we used to play Nancy Sinatra's, what do you call it?
Sugartown.
That one. Every day, hoping that she would call, and she never has. It's funny because I saw a post the other day on Facebook that she put up, and I thought, I'll write again, and I realized she's probably not reading these. Like, she'll post something and not read, so I kind of gave up on that. But instead, we will keep the tradition going. This song that you're about to hear was actually Song of the Year 1970, went to number 1 that year. Seems like a pretty appropriate song to play in a day like today. Here we go.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did me some talking to the sun, and I said I didn't like the way he got things done, sleeping on the job. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling.
1969, as I said, Song of the Year at the Grammys in 1970, B.J. Thomas, the late, great B.J. Thomas. That's our song for today. All right, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you were not paying attention, it's not too late to celebrate the day on the calendar today, which happens to be National Lazy Day. That's actually a day on the calendar. I wish I'd have known it earlier this morning. National Lazy Day, and instead of getting our CJAD singers to come up with something, sometimes what's out there is already perfect, like this song.
Today I don't feel like doing anything. I just wanna lay in my bed. Don't feel like picking up my phone, so leave a message at the tone. 'Cause today I swear I'm not doing anything.
It's called the Lazy Song. I mean, could there have been a better song for today? That's Bruno Mars to boot. So there you go. Happy National Lazy Day. And finally, what I found on the internet, I will be very honest. When I first heard this, I thought, no, that can't be her. And then, yeah, it is. But the question I asked was, originally, if you didn't hear this, I said, do you think you know who this is? Take a listen and see if you can recognize who this is.
Last walk on the beach. Mark Nepo writes, the broken door lets in the light, and the broken heart lets in the world. Yep. Well, I must be letting in the world. I don't know about you, but, a heart can't truly be broken. It can only be broken open. So whatever you're going through right now, whatever level it's on, just know that this too shall pass. So let the light get in through all of those cracks and through all of those learnings. Sending love.
Anybody? Hands on this, who that is? I mean, we know now, but that's Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, the ex-wife of former Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Now, I was a little surprised by that. Then we were chatting, and Alice was telling me, you've seen posts. She's doing this. She's now, what is she, a wellness influencer?
I call her a wellness influencer.
Is that what she is?
Like 100%. She's like self-care, self-help. How do you get better?
Okay.
But I mean, every time I hear a wellness influencer like her, I always kind of listen and think, what did she say? What did she say?
I felt bad only because she's obviously, the way she's describing it about broken heart, letting in light, she's going through, it would seem, a tough time. And I'm sure it's made worse by the fact that Justin Trudeau does not seem to be going through a tough time right now. So that's what she's doing, and if it helps her, obviously that's a good thing. But I just kind of was surprised to find that.
She has a massive following, too.
She does, right?
Yeah. That's her thing now.
We should get her on the show.
We should. Let's work on that.
Yeah, let's give her a call. All right, we'll wrap it up next.
Montreal Now is brought to you by Dormez-vous. Get serious about sleep at Dormez-vous with up to 20% off mattresses, pillows, sheets, and more. Limited time only. Restrictions apply.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for me. This was fun. I think now I should take 4 days off. I did a whole day after. No? All right, I'll be back tomorrow then. That's going to do it for me. I want to thank our producers, Alice Martin, Brian Cowlisar, for putting it all together, and a thanks to you for being here as well. That is much appreciated. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. Anytime after 2 o'clock that's good for you is good for me. Until then, be good to each other. Take care of yourself and all those folks around you, especially the little guys. They are the most important people in your life. Have a great night. Stick around. The 6 o'clock CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi coming up next.
Everything looks so complete when you're walking out on the street. Every wind catches your feet, sends you flying, crying.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you.
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all.
Bryan Adams Radio.
I'm coming back to you.
Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey everybody, how are you tonight? Sounds great.
This is the voice of Montreal.
CJAD 800.
CTV News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. It is a guilty verdict for Luciano Fratellin. He is the Montreal man accused of killing his 9-year-old daughter, Melina. Her body was found in upstate New York last summer. This morning, Fratellin told the judge he would not testify, and that ended his defense. The jury reached the verdict in just a few hours, guilty of second-degree murder. The girl and her father were on a vacation in upstate New York when Fratellin reported that his daughter was missing. Her body was found the next day near Ticonderoga. In British Columbia, it is being called an unprecedented wildfire emergency. In the Okanagan Valley, a fast-moving, out-of-control wildfire. Tens of thousands of people are under evacuation orders. And most of southern BC, east of the Fraser Canyon, is under an air quality alert. Here's Andrew Johnson.
Jim Hart.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.